The computers were not primarily for entertainment or email. The goal was to solve some difficult arithmetic equations. In 1880, the US population grew at an accelerated pace, and it took more than 7 years to schedule the census. The US government was looking for a quicker way to get the job done. They created primary computers based on ID cards. These devices were room-wide. Ironically, we now have in our hands on our smartphones computing capabilities more than those that existed on the huge primary computers. In this short overview, we will show a timeline showing the evolution of computers from those modest templates listed to the internet-related templates these days. 1801. In France, Joseph-Marie Jacquard invented the textile machine. Uses perforated wooden cards to facilitate the fabric designs and making them automatically, and the primary computers relied on similar wooden cards. 1822. The English mathematician Charles Babbage thought of making a steam machine that could calculate scheduled numbers faster and more easily. The British government supported this project financially but failed, and more than a century later the first computer in history was built. 1890, Herman Hollerith designed a card-based system to calculate census statistics in 1880, and that task was accomplished in just 3 years, saving $5 million on the government at the time, and he founded his own company, which would in the future become IBM. This was an important turning point in the history of computers. 1936. Alan Turing introduced a principle of a universal machine later renamed as the Turing machine, which is the ability to calculate anything calculable. Modern computers rely on his ideas to this day. 1937. Physics professor John Vincent Atanasoff at Iowa State University tried to build the first computer without the use of gears, belts and columns. 1939. David Packard and Bill Hewlett founded Hewlett-Packard Horsepower in a garage in Palo Alto, California, according to the Museum of Computer History. 1941. Atanasoff and one of his graduate students, Clifford Berry, designed the first computer to solve 29 mathematical equations at the same time, the first time in the history of computers that a computer could store information on its main memory. 1943. Two professors from the University of Pennsylvania, John Mauchly and John Presper Eckert, built the ENIAC, the ancestor of digital computers. It used to occupy an area of 20 feet by 40 feet and contained 18,000 vacuum tubes. 1946. Mobley and Presser left the University of Pennsylvania and received funding from the Census Bureau to build the first commercial computer for government business applications, known as UNIVAC. 1947. The first transistor was invented by William Shockley, John Barton and William Shockley and Walter Bratton, who discovered how to make a switch using solids without the need for vacuum tubes. 1953. Grace Hopper developed the first computing language, later known as COBOL. Thomas Johnson Watson Jr., the son of IBM CEO, also planned the IBM 70 EDPM to help the United Nations monitor Korea during the war. 1954. According to the University of Michigan, a team of IBM programmers led by John Backus developed Fortran language, the abbreviation for formula translation. 1958. Jack Kilby and Robert Noyce unveiled the integrated circuit known as computer chips. Kilby won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 2000 for his work. 1964. Douglas Engelbart presented a prototype of modern computers with a mouse and a graphical user interface, D, which in turn represented a leap in computer history from a machine devoted to scientists and mathematicians to sophisticated technology in the public's hands. 1969. A group of developers at Bell Labs produced a Unix operating system, which addressed compatibility and ease of use issues. Unix, written in programming language C, was on many platforms until the operating system of choice for large companies and government offices became unattractive for home users because of its slow nature. 1970. A new Intel company has unveiled the Intel 1103 chip, the first dynamic memory chip, DRAM. 1971. Alan Shugart led a team of IBM engineers to invent a floppy disk, allowing data to be shared and shared between computers. 1973. Xerox research team member Robert Metcalf developed an Ethernet network that allows multiple computers and other devices to be connected. 1974 to 1977. A number of personal computers were introduced, including Selby and Mark 8 Alter, Radio Shack's TRS-80, Trash 80, and Commodore PET. 1975. Alter 8080 is the first microcomputer to compete with conventional business models. Two computing freaks, Paul Allen and Bill Gates, offered to write Alter programming using modern BASIC language. On April 4, after their brilliant success, their childhood friends formed their own company, Microsoft. 1976. According to Stanford University, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak set up Apple, starting it on April Fool's Day, and launching the Apple I, the first computer in the history of computers with a single circuit board. 1977. The initial production of Radio Shack TRS-80 was only 3,000 copies, and it was sold insanely, and for the first time the computer-obsessed could write software and make the computer do exactly what they wanted. 1978. It was a happy year for accountants to launch VCalc, the first computerized spreadsheet program. 1979. Word processing became a reality when MicroPro released WordStar globally. The goal of the change was to add borders, lines and the possibility of word wrapping, designer Rob Barnaby said in 2000 via email to Mike Petrie. The changes also added the printing function and eliminated some of the restrictive things, he said. I was a technical mind. I imagined how to do it, and I did it and documented it. 1981. The history of IBM's personal computer, codenamed Akron, began using Microsoft's MS-DOS operating system. It contained an Intel chip and 2 floppy disks with an optional color display. 1983. The first personal computer with the GUI feature, Apple's Lisa, is created. It also included a drop-down list of options and some icons. It's a bit floundering, but it finally brought us to the Macintosh family, and the laptop debuted with its popular laptop name, Gavilan SC. 1985. The first address, .com, on March 15 that year, years before the founding of the World Wide Web, WWW, was considered the actual beginning of the Internet age. Symbolics Computer Company, registered as Symbolics.com, was a small computer company in the U.S. state of Massachusetts. Just 2 years later, more than 100 other web points, .com, were registered. 1986. Compaq brought to the market its Despro 386, which had a bit32 speed similar to the flagship models. 1990. Tim Berners-Lee, a researcher at CERN, the Physics and High Energy Laboratory in Geneva, developed the hypertext markup language, HTML, which led to the emergence of the World Wide Web, WWW. 1993. The Pentium microprocessor improves the ability to use graphics and music on computers. 1994. Personal computers became gaming consoles, and Command & Conquer, Alone in the Dark 2, Theme Park, Magic Carpet, Descent and Little Big Adventure were among the games that invaded the market in the beginning of the history of personal computers. 1997. Microsoft terminates Apple's claim that Microsoft is copying the look and feel of its operating system, with Microsoft investing $150 million in Apple. 1999. The famous term, Wi-Fi, appeared in computing languages, referring to internet communication without wires. 2001. Apple announces Mac OS X, which provides memory protection and other protective functions. In contrast, Microsoft introduced the Windows XP operating system, which contains a modified GUI to become better and redesigned. 2003. AMD's Athlon 64 became available on the market and was the first 64-bit processor. 2004. Mozilla Firefox competes with Microsoft's Internet Explorer, and Facebook launches social media. 2005. The popular video sharing site YouTube is present, and Google has released the popular mobile operating system, Android. 2007. iPhone brings many computer functions to smartphones. 2009. Microsoft launched the new operating system, Windows 7, which added the possibility of installing important applications on the taskbar, and also provided the use of touch and recognition of writings and some other features. 2010. Apple unveiled its new device, iPad, which changed the way consumers view the media and display and move, and add the advantage of using the tablet. 2011. Google released the Chromebook. It is the laptop that runs Google Chrome OS. 2015. Apple released its popular Apple Watch, and Microsoft released Windows 10. 2016. The first quantum computer in the history of programmable computers was created. So far there has been no quantum computing platform that has the capability and ability to program new algorithms in its system, but usually it was designed to attack different algorithms, said Shantanu Debnath, a quantum physicist and optometrist at Marylander University in College Park. 2017. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, developed a molecular information program that uses molecules as microcomputers. 2019. Blueshift Memory, the British emerging computing company, has developed a new type of computer chip capable of making data operations 1,000 times faster. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to subscribe.